This is mine. Welcome to Shark Bay.
Good morning. Yeah, Mark from Shark Bait here. I think this is going to be a quickie for us, but you know, we got something in yesterday that we've been pining over for some time. Back at ICAST a couple of years ago, John Breccia at Okuma, who's the product development manager, John showed me a unibutt that Okuma had been working on, a new unibutt for their trolling rods. A unique design. It was made from heavy carbon fiber, not heavy from a weight standpoint, but from a construction standpoint. And with the use of the carbon fiber on the unibutt, we're able to shave off an awful lot of weight, making the trolling rods nicer to have in the hands, not just in the trolling positions on a boat. Now, well, let's see, we saw them again, at least that butt section, about a year ago at ICAST in 2019. I mentioned before, in 2018, a pre-production, just kind of getting some feedback with Okuma. So now we're in 2020, and Okuma had spent probably a year's time with completed rods, basically using the PCH series blanks in that construction with the heavy carbon. I think it's 24-ton carbon fiber, just like the Makaira reels. They tested, evaluated, got feedback, felt confident of the pieces, and now introduced into the U.S. market. These pieces just came in. We just received them this week. I don't think they're up anywhere in the U.S. at this point in time. We're probably the first guys to get them. And they're really, really neat pieces. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, I like to troll. That's prospecting, and that's one way to locate fish, just like looking for bird schools. Going from point A to point B. I'll never forget one of my friends from 20 plus years ago, Mark and Adam Capitano, on their big boat, and I think it was a 48-foot offshore, nice boat. It was their condo on the water when it was parked, and then a lot of recreation for the family on the thing. And I had the good fortune of fishing with them a few times. Initially, that had a standard diesel, and the thing would go maybe, I don't know, 12 knots or so. Really had a hard time getting up on plane. But they caught a lot of fish because they were always trolling between point A to where they were going, the destination, point B. They did a repower, and when they did the repower, suddenly their catches dropped, because they weren't getting those fish in between point A and point B. They weren't finding the schools. They would kind of, motor and get that sucker up on plane about 20 knots, and cover more ground more quickly, but they passed over a lot of fish. Even on the big, long-range boats, I enjoy that prospecting. It's I like to do different things, and I think a lot of our East Coast anglers are the same, and West Coast guys are kind of figuring that one out too. Trolling is not just a necessary evil; it can be fun in and of itself. And especially, dealing with different colors, different patterns, different, lures out there in the spread. It can be pretty interesting, and there can be a little bit of thought involved. It's not just a no-brain activity of putting out a couple of lines and have a beer. But back to the rods. I like trolling. But back to the rods. What these guys did was pretty incredible, I think. This is a standard unibutt. Let me zoom back a little bit so we get more of this in. In this piece, I think this is that's a Pac Bay. AFCO makes some, two primary suppliers. ALPS also makes some, metal. But this piece has a weight of getting darn close to 2 pounds. If we could make this a few ounces, then all of a sudden that trolling rod, instead of being 3 pounds and more, maybe 4, can drop way the heck down. And that's exactly what happens when we go with this instead. Let me move up a little closer, and maybe this will come in. But this is the unibutt. You can see it's, again, a woven carbon fiber material. And this thing weighs well under 20 ounces. In fact, it weighs about, maybe 12 to 14 ounces. It's kind of hard for me to get this on the scale and weigh it. but we're well under a pound, probably closer to 12 ounces on this piece versus well over 20 ounces on this. Makes for a big difference in the rod. The rods from Okuma. In the Aussie market, they do make, or they do offer one lighter version. US market, basically two different rods. There's an 80 to 150 and then a 100 to 250, we call it unlimited pounds. And what I like on their design of the blanks themselves, and let's pull, this is a 6-footer. Well, it's not a 6-footer without the butt. Let's stick a butt on here. Now they make the butts both straight and curved. So this would be a straight butt. Fits in, and then she locks down. And then we have an ALPS all metal reel seat. That's going to hold most of our standard reels quite well. It does have a gimbal, so get it up even higher. Glad I didn't pull out the longer rods. But we have two tests. This is a 610. Now I want you also to look at the guide set that's being used here on these guys. These are the big guides from ALPS, and these are pretty much consistent with the AFCO wind-on rollers. They're big, and there's a lot of space in there. So even your heavier lines like a 130 braid, 130-pound leader, that's going to go through here just fine, even on a knot connection. Doesn't have to be wind on. Dandy guide set. We should probably price these guys out, but I got to be thinking you're probably into $1.50, 150 bucks or so just for the guide set. Not talking a butt section on the rods, and these guys in a standard aluminum is a part that may cost, I don't know, 130 bucks or so, just for that part. So you've got close to 3 bills worth of rod before we even look at the blank. And this is a gorgeous carbon fiber blank. It's in the PCH series. It's a PCH Custom. And again, in the 6-foot, 5-foot, 10-inch to be exact realm. In the US market, we have two pieces. We have the heavy, and again, that's 80 to 150, and then we have an extra heavy that's 100-pound to 250, call it unlimited. Now what I like about the way these things bend, and I can't show it terribly well, maybe I can back up a little bit and give you an idea. These are not a super fast action rod. If we put a bend on them, and this is the extra heavy, we've got a bend that's really pretty soft, I won't say soft, but it's a moderate bend. It's not super fast. It's bending through that midsection of the blank, and it'll bend down even farther under a heavy, heavy load. This is an extra heavy. If I pull the heavy out instead, you'll see something attached here. Maybe easier to see the bend. Yeah, it's easier for me to bend it. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that bend, that blank is doing a good job of cushioning a strike, helping it from breaking off, and it has an appropriate bend for the drag load that you would typically fish if you were fishing, let's say 80 to 100 pound. I think I would be using this piece, and again the manufacturer rates it 80 to 150. I would probably be going here for that 80 and 100 pound, and I'd go to the extra heavy if you're doing 130 and or above. There's not a heck of a lot we're fishing above that on the troll anyway. But if I was going for the bigger bluefin, probably the extra heavy might be where I would go. And again, these guys are available in, with what we're inventorying, two different lengths. It's either going to be this 5-foot 10-inch, or there is a longer piece, which is going to be, let's see here, 6 feet 10 inches, call it. Now, on the 610s, these are available only in the curved butt. Okay, so it's easy to put together. Just two pieces, travels well. Even though this piece is a 6'10", it's going to travel like, about 5 feet, maybe a little over 5 feet in total length. Easy to put together. Just don't do it backwards. And now she's locked down. So this is our 610. And in a straight butt, this would be the 5 foot 10 inch. The 5 foot 10s are available in either a straight butt or a curved butt. You've got your choice. So you can set up your boat. Let's see, a lot of guys might do, say, 4 trolling rigs or more. But at 4, you might have a couple of straight butts, a couple of curved butts, have them going back off the stern of the boat a couple of different ways. May use a Africa roller troller to tidy up the rear end of the boat. That's a good option. And that, maybe you use the straight butts there, curved butts where they're laying out. That curved butt brings the line down a little bit to the boat, so it keeps everything staying in the water where she belongs. Where a 7-footer on a straight butt would be a different story. That's a long way down. 2 different lengths to work with, 2 different butts to work with. Dandy rods, and again, very, very innovative. Nobody else has done this one that I'm aware of. And it really saves an awful lot of weight. I mean, you get a full rod that's under 2 pounds basically, compared to about 4 or 5 for a lot of our other trolling rigs. Wonderful pieces. Now the rods come in a nice bag. So we've got a good bag for storage, whether it's the curved butt like this one on a 510 or the straight butt. Basically it's the same bag, but it's a nice rod bag that comes with them. Of course it labels it what the piece is. These are not cheap rods. I'll say that on the front side, and I'll grab my notes. They're not inexpensive. There's a lot of innovation that's gone into their build, and there's a lot of meat in that product. So the price point is not going to be inexpensive. These are no $299 trolling rods. We can get those from a different supplier, maybe Daiwa or whoever else out there. These are on the high end of things, but they're not a custom build. But they are offering an excellent blank and a unique butt section. The 5 foot 10 inchers, going with the straight butts. Well, let's see, our price point looks like $469 on the heavy, and then we bump up $80 to $549 on the extra heavy. That's in a straight butt. When we go bent butt, the retail pricing goes up a little bit. Again, on the 5 foot 10 inchers, you're at $499 for the heavy and $599 for the extra heavy. So they bump up about pretty darn close to $50 when you go with the curved butt versus the straight. On the 6 foot 10 inchers with the bent butts, there we're looking at $549 and $649. So not a huge bump, but it is another about a $50 jump in price with the extra length. Price points, on trolling side, let's see, on a US produced trolling rod, typically it's going to be the standard AFTCO rollers, which would be a step down from the higher end ALPS or a AFTCO wind-on roller. So a heavy duty roller from AFTCO compared to what we're getting with the Okuma PCH is quite a step up on the guide set. Step down in terms of mass and weight. You have a lot of things that are working with these rods at a price point that, when all things are considered, isn't out of the realm. A United Composites rod with a bent butt or a straight butt, when we go to their better series, XOS blank, typically we're looking around $700, maybe even $800 for those rods. And that would be a comparable piece in terms of the blank design. Excellent, U.S. manufacturer with UC. But look, at what we're doing here at say, approximately $500 with the Okuma pieces. Very, very nice job. Very, very nice job indeed. So again, that's as much as I'll give you for now. We'll get more information posted on these. Like I said, we just got them in, and I haven't done all my homework. Certainly Sergey in the shop here, he knows these pieces better than I do as far as the details on them and how they were constructed. So if you call in, get a hold of him, get a hold of me, get a hold of one of the other guys, and we can help you with them. But innovative pieces, great to have on the market. It's a wonderful option for guys trying to outfit their boats and have something in the troll side of things that's easy to get in and out of the rod holders with a unibutt that's slick, so it's not binding within that rod holder. And they're going to be light once they're in your hands compared to most of our other trolling rods out there. So again, thanks for visiting Sharkbait. Thanks for your support. Of course, our store is wide open, and we have been open for some time, regardless of any little virus that's floating around that is causing some, people to run amok. We're through with that business. See you at the shop. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Please visit us online or in store. Bye!
You know your name should be Melody.